Once upon a time, there was a boy about 6 years old in second grade, so it had, sentimentality to me. It was my demographic. Once upon a time, there was a boy in second grade. He was walking to school. He was running late. He got out of the house late. So he decides to cut through this alleyway, even though his parents told him not to. And he's going through the alleyway, and he's almost the way through when suddenly this homeless man jumps out and is like, "Hey, kid, you wanna hear this special new word?" And it's like, "Sure." It's like, "Okay, the special word is purple shades." And then he runs away. And the kid's like, "Okay, purple shades." And so he goes to class. And, of course, because he talked to the homeless man, he was late. So the teacher's like, "Where were you?" And he's like, "Well, I got out of the house late, and I was going to cut through this alley because my parents told me not to." As homeless man jumps out, he says, "Hey, here's a special word, purple shades." And the teacher goes, "Woo!" And she slaps him across the face, and she says, "Get out of my classroom. Go to the principal's office. Get out of here." It's just like scary because she was normally like a very composed teacher. And the kid just doesn't know what to do, and he's like never been slapped by an adult before. So he's out in the hallway, and he goes to the principal's office. He knocks on the door. The principal says, "Oh, come in, Jonathan." And he comes in, and he's like, "What? You look like you're shaken up. What happened?" He's like, "Well, the teacher sent me here." He's like, "Why did the teacher send you there?" He's like, "Well, I was running late for school today, and I cut through this alley because I was running late, even though my parents told me not to. And this homeless man jumps out and says, 'You want to know the special word?' And I'm like, 'Yeah,' and he tells me it. And I go back to the classroom, and the teacher wants to know why I did it. And so I tell her, and the principal's like, 'Well, what was the word?' He's like, I don't want to tell you. I told the teacher, and she slapped me." And he's like, "I'm your principal. I've been commended as an educator on several different boards for the last 12 years. I've committed my life to, helping children. We're friends, I like to think. Like, you can tell me the word. This is a safe place." He goes, "Okay, the word is purple shades." And the principal's like, "What the fuck?" And he lifts the desk up. He suddenly has like super strength. And he's like, "Get out!" And he's throwing paperweights, and they're batting the kid. It's this 8-year-old kid. And he's like, "Oh no!" He's like, "You're expelled. I never want to see you in the school again." And this kid he starts to cry. He's just crying, and he runs off campus, and he runs back home. He does not take the alley, incidentally, because he learned his lesson there. He gets home, and he's just crying, and he's bruised, and he comes in, and his mom's vacuuming because she's a stay-at-home mom, which was popular at the time. And she's like, "Oh my God, Jonathan, what's wrong?" And he's like, "I got expelled from school." She's like, "How did you get expelled from school?" He's like, "Well, I got out of the house late, so I was running late, so I cut through the alley, even though I know you told me not to do that." She's like, "That's right, I didn't tell you." And then the homeless man, he jumped out, and he told me a special phrase, and I was late for school, and so the teacher wanted to know why I was late, and I told her a special phrase, and she slapped me, and I'd never been hit by an adult before, and she sent me to the principal's office, and the principal, he was like, "What happened?" I didn't want to tell him, and he made me tell him, and I told him, and he just had super strength and picked up the desk, and he was throwing paperweights at me, and he expelled me from school. He's like, "Oh my God, Jonathan, that's horrible. That's so, come here, baby." And she's like petting him and like doing that special touch that only a mother could do, and he feels safe and like maybe everything's going to be all right. She says, "I need to talk to your principal. What was the special word?" And he's like, No, I'm not going to tell you a special word. Like, everybody tells a special word gets complete. It's like, I'm your mother. I carried you in my stomach in my tummy for like 9 months. She was loose on anatomy. I carried you in my tummy for 9 months. And I raised you, and I love nothing more in the world. But the first time I saw you, I knew I wanted nothing more in the world than to live for you, you precious little piece of life. You can tell me the word." He's like, "Okay, the word is purple shades." And she takes the vacuum cleaner and just knocks him across the head. He goes flying into the couch. And she's like this, "Ah! You're not my son! You're not my son! Get out, get out!" And he's like, "What?" And she's chasing him around the kitchen. She's like, "Go to your room, go to your room!" So, and she's sobbing in the corner and throwing silverware at him and just like completely like, just upset. So he's hiding in his room, and he hides under his bed because it's a safe place. And his entire world is just turned upside down. The hours go by, and around 5 or 6 o'clock, as his father wants to do, his father comes home from work, and he hears shouting and